Yes, good afternoon. So we are still waiting for the chair to arrive so that we can pass controls to the chair. So in the meantime, I think, should we be delayed? I think the principal or one of the panelists can step into chair just in case we reach the time, because we are just 5 minutes away from the beginning of the session. So just in case we delay, we will expect that one of you takes on as we wait for the rest of the colleagues to arrive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are on standby. Martin?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, you're there.
Yes, I'm available.
Be on standby.
All right. It's okay.
Okay.
I think we have come to the top of the time, so it's time for the session to begin. I will pass controls to Grace. I see the session chair is here. So Grace, please, you have controls.
Thank you so much. IT support.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Grace. Could you please have your videos on? I'll request that once the presenters are making presentations, please make sure you have all your videos on. Thank you.
We appreciate that reminder. Thank you so much. Our dear panelists and the audience online, I take this opportunity to welcome you to our session on tracer study. I'm Grace Chibanja, the chair for this session, and the topic for discussion is from university education into the world of work, tracking CHUSS graduates from 2011 to 2021. I'm looking forward to a very good presentation because our authors seem to cut across all the schools in our college. The principal investigator, Professor Julius Chikoma, is the deputy principal CHUSS. Professor Josephine Hikire is the principal. Professor Choheire Florence Muhanguzi is from the School of Women and Gender Studies. Professor Chiza Julius is from the School of Social Sciences. Professor Sylvia Nanyonga Tamsuza is from the School of Liberal and Performing Arts. Professor Susan Kiguri is from the School of Languages, Literature and Communication. And Dr. Martin Baluku Mubanda is from the School of Psychology. They have an interesting presentation on tracking CHUSS graduates from 2011 to 2021. To anybody with a program, you would think that this is an individual presentation, but it's quite a number of presentations in one. This presentation is structured in a way that we are going to have the first part about why a tracer study was conducted, and that will be presented by our principal. Then why the study was designed and executed, that is going to be presented by Julius Chikoma. And after that, we shall get into the second session of the presentation where key senior research members will be sharing insights from qualitative findings of the programs that they studied. Professor Florence Muhanguzi will give us qualitative findings of what she found out with the Bachelor of Social Sciences program. Susan Kiguri will give us findings on journalism and communication, BA Arts and BA Education in Literature and English Studies. Sylvia Nanyonga will give us key findings on the Bachelor of Arts and in Music, Arts in Drama and Film, Arts in Developmental Studies, Bachelor of Ethics and Human Rights, Bachelor of Arts in BAA, and Martin Baluku will give us key findings on the Bachelors of Industrial and Organizational Psychology and the Bachelors of Community Psychology. And then we shall end with a wrap up from Professor Chiza Julius on the implications of their study findings and the way forward. You note that we have 90 minutes. Of course, the first 10 minutes are for me. I'm sure I'm almost exhausting them. And I'm giving the panelists 18 minutes. Professor Josephine Aikire will have around 10 minutes, Julius 10, Florence 10, and then Sylvia will have 15 because the list looks long, and then Professor Chiza will have 5 minutes. And then thereafter, we shall enter a 10 minutes Q&A session. Dear presenters, these are the guidelines.
Chair, so I will have none.
Sylvia, Susan Kiguri, you are on journalism and communication, you are 10 minutes. Most of you are 10 minutes, except Sylvia is given 15 minutes looking at the list of programs that she has to talk about. Dear audience online, please let us welcome our presenters with a hand clap in any way you can do it, physically or online, depending on how you wish to do it. I take this opportunity, therefore, to welcome Professor Josephine Healy to please take us through why you had to conduct the CHUSS tracer study. Thank you.
Very much, Chair and Dean Psychology, Professor Grace Chivanja. I will not take 10 minutes. I want people to do the actual thing, so I will take about 8 minutes. And just to say, why did we decide to conduct this study as a college? And also to mention that this study was actually funded by the college, and we are proud of that. As we celebrate the 100 years of Makere's existence, we as a college have been grappling with some of the questions around what is the utility of the courses in humanities, where are our graduates, how shall we celebrate with our alumni, can we actually find out where they are, and so on. So this is the first phase, to connect with our alumni and to find out what the humanities has given them as instruments to function in the world of work. We have avoided this thing called employment because we think that the world of work is broader than employment. And we want to use this as a pedestal to celebrate with our alumni and also to inform our forward-looking strategy in terms of teaching and learning. And there are things that we need to take care of. I will just give one example. Many of the graduates will say, yeah, I was at CHUSS, and yeah, theory is good, but you know, we don't get the skills for functioning in the world of work. And then you ask, what are you using? And as they enumerate, these are the skills that you have actually empowered them with: critical skills, critical thinking, problem solving, all those kinds of, soft skills that make society actually function. And so you ask, but these are the skills that we actually armed you with, but that means that there is something that we need to do more in terms of naming what we do and also giving it impetus as humanities. So we took a period when the college system came into play. The College of Humanities and Social Sciences came into effect in 2011. And so we are taking the stretch of CHUSS undergraduate graduates for now, but the whole stretch of the study going forward will also include graduate students. So this is why, as the chair rightly said, this study included researchers from across the schools, all the schools in the college, and as well, we included our students, our former students, as co-researchers who actually made a connection with their fellow graduates. And it is interesting to hear what the findings are. And without wasting time, let me allow the PI to come in and give a lead on the findings, because all the researchers are going to have a brief conversation around the findings. Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you, all of you online.
Thank you so much, Principal. That was a brief but up to the dot introduction of the study. You've given us some extra minutes that I will add on to the principal investigator so that he gets 15 minutes to be able to unpack his methodology. Professor Julius Chikoma, you're welcome. Yes, Professor Julius Chikoma, are you there?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I think I was muted. Thank you very much, Chair, and good afternoon, my fellow panelists who were together.
Video as well, Prof.
Sorry?
Show your video as well.
Okay, that is my video. I was trying to look for my background, but it looks I can't have the background I wanted. But I think this is also good enough, the background of my office. All right, so that's how I look in this office. So yeah, I'm going to be talking from the PowerPoint slides, given that some of what I want to share with us is, figures and, diagrams. And I think I will do a better job when I share the screen. So let me just do that in a moment. Can I be able to share my screen? So just give me a minute as I try to navigate how I share my screen, which I don't now seem to see. Okay. I seem not to be able to share. Why?
Professor, it's at the bottom there.
I don't see the scrolling down. It must be a PowerPoint slide. Okay. Okay, I think it's this. No, it's not that one. Okay, I think it is this problem of having so many files open, but I think now you can see. I hope you can see.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Just put in the presentation mode, maybe.
Okay. So that is the team, the research team. You have already heard the names of the research team, and also the topic, which was deliberate. We were very interested in trying to look at the pathways that graduates from the college have taken once they have completed their studies in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. I'll straight away go to the main issues that I have outlined there. Part of the background has already been given, but also to say that we are interested in, as CHUSS, as the College of Humanities, we are interested in a tracer study that is commissioned by ourselves, because it is important for us to be able to generate information that we ourselves have commissioned and asked the questions we want to ask. Many times we are forced to work with information about our graduates that has been commissioned and carried out by other people and with different interests. But as a college, we wanted this, given that one, we have existed as a college for 10 years now, and we have, as a college, not been able to really look into what is happening when the students leave. Yet there is a lot written about our students out there, as if to suggest that they are not doing well. But as I mentioned, it would be good, and we found it important that it is us to ask the questions. But also the other important issue around this, why we wanted this study, is even Makerere itself as a university is at a time when it is redefining its new path as part of how to be responsive to societal transformation, and also defining itself as a research-led university. Of course, the challenge or the issue that comes with that new direction is that there is privileging graduate enrollment. So there is a deliberate effort to increase enrollment for graduates and reduce on the undergraduates. And yet all this is happening without us having a systematic look into what is happening out there with these people that have gone. Plus, of course, what I shared with people earlier when we were in another panel, that there has been even this restructuring of programs that have affected some of our students, yet it was not based on information that is systematically investigated. So we thought it is important that we commission a study where we will ask our own questions. And some of the questions are around these 4 core objectives. We wanted to map out the CHUSS graduates' pathways from the university to where they are currently based. So we wanted to go out there and look for them wherever they are. We were prepared to look for them wherever they are, and we find them and hold conversations with them. We also wanted to assess whether CHUSS graduates are working in the professions that are in line with what they studied while here at Makerere University. And also, we wanted this question of employability. You will know that among all the other colleges in this university, our students are the ones who really suffer this idea that our students are not employable. So we wanted ourselves to go out there and investigate that question on our own terms. And lastly, we wanted to assess the barriers and enablers of the transition these graduates make once they finish their courses of study with us. So colleagues, participants, those were part of the key issues we wanted to find out in this tracer study. Now, how was this study designed and executed? I must mention that initially we had wanted to do this study as a mixed study. We still did it as a mixed study, but by the time we started conducting the fieldwork, you will find that we had to make alterations to the program. We had arranged that we will move around the country and move to the different regions of the country so that we are able to really, see it for ourselves where the students are. But it did not happen as fate would have it, but we didn't take it negatively. There was a lockdown, a second lockdown. So there was restrictions to movement, and therefore we had to revise the way we had designed the program. So we decided that while it might be complicated in terms of how we are going to sample the participants, it would be important to respect the restrictions, but not hold on until the restrictions are lifted, because we didn't know when they would be, given the earlier experience. So we decided to do the data collection completely virtual. So the information we are going to be sharing with you, the findings, are based on information that was collected completely in a virtual manner. So we investigated 10 graduation cohorts. From the title of this study, you will see that we wanted to look at graduates as far back as 2011 up to the recent graduates of 2021. So that makes a 10 cohort investigation, which we wanted to track. And the participants, the students or the graduates that were sampled were from 12 programs, as we shall see ahead there. Data analysis was conducted using IBM Statistics SPSS version 2026. Now, we can look at some of the, I want to share with you some of the results that emerge from this study. One of the important issues that we actually pick from this study is that we were able, under the circumstances of the lockdown, we were able to investigate, to get responses back totaling to 650 responses. Under the circumstances, I think that is a very respectable sample, and we are happy that we were able to even get that, because really it was tough. Like my colleagues will share, it was really tough to actually carry out this thing completely virtual, because so many other things change in terms of investigating virtually, phoning, Zooming, and all these other things where people cannot understand, they want you to have an interview instead. So one of the outright questions that I would want to share with you, just as a quick preview, is this question of how important was some of these issues in their choice to come to CHUSS. Why did they choose CHUSS? What were some of the considerations that these participants really considered? You will see that one of the issues that comes out is that it's interesting to see of all the reasons given, those two that are in red really having most people saying this was very important. The love for the cause studied, meaning that people were actually passionate. You know, it's interesting. There was a time when many thought that people who come to the programs in CHUSS Humanities or formerly arts were people who found themselves there without a choice because they couldn't go to other professional programs like law and the other programs, but that many of them say they did this out of love is very, very crucial, because when you undertake an activity that you are passionate about, clearly you are going to do very well and you are going to commit, however hard the challenges, the tasks involved are. The other interesting issue that they bring out in red again there is this question of, the programs we provide here give them a chance to specialize, you see, meaning that, the menu, they like the menu. And as we will see a bit later, and as my colleagues will also share with you, there's a range of skills that people pick up here, and I had my principal mention it as well. They pick up a range of skills sets, some of which look like, they are ordinary skills, they are really soft skills, as they are called technically. But interestingly, these are the ones that actually they are finding to be a differentiator between those who succeed and hang in there, and those others that don't succeed, especially those that would not have been exposed to, the choices here in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. I think the presentation of these slides was a bit not what I had thought, but that's still okay. It's now taking me back to the basic information about the participants. The disaggregation of this information that we collected, as I mentioned, there were 650 respondents. It was 50% either side. 50% male and 50% female, as you can see there. Now, I don't think it was a deliberate move, because really the field work team, I don't think there was any discussion around making sure that we get equal. But it also talks to the way that this college is very, very engendered. And it is not surprising that just out of, chance, it is a 50-50, which is very good for other reasons that we will later hear from some of the results I will share, but also from my colleagues. The other important issue that I want us to look at in terms of the makeup of the students that gave us responses is this question of their employment status. The employment status here is disaggregated in terms of whether they are employed or they are unemployed. But also there is another category that we could not fit into that divide. Of course, generally out there, people are just looking at this either or situation. Either you get a job or you don't get a job. But here we are seeing something more than that. We are seeing the distribution in terms of the employed 64%. So of course there were over 400 out of the 650 graduates that we investigated randomly. It was not really something that we deliberately said you participate and you don't. Of course, other circumstances dictated, those who we were able to receive their responses, but it was not deliberate to include and to exclude any. But this is very, very, very respectable distribution, and it is also very reassuring that our graduates eventually actually get employed. So this question of they are not employed, they are not employable, or the courses they study cannot get them employment is really not being proved here at all, just from this distribution. But also the other interesting finding is that we have the unemployed coming in two categories: those that are employed after job loss, and then those that have never been employed. But you can see that the ones who have never been employed completely are actually the smallest number. So our graduates eventually get employed. So no question about whether these programs that they study are useful or not. I think that's not anymore an issue. The other issue that I want to share with you in terms of the quantitative information, remember we had both quantitative and qualitative, but here I'm spending more time looking at the quantitative results. So we have mentioned, I've just mentioned that the employed graduates were the majority. From this distribution, you can see we were also interested. Okay, yes, they're employed, but where are they employed? This is also very interesting revelation here that the biggest share of employer of our graduates is actually the private sector. 48% of those who said who were above 400 out of the 650. So out of the 400 and I think it was 83 that are employed. 48% of that, the biggest share, they are actually in the private or business sector. So humanities are a big business. So those who were thinking that humanities, when you study them, you are doomed, you don't know what you will do, I think they need to come and listen to what we are talking about here, or what these students have actually shared with us. There is also another, so the other distribution in the statistics that you could look out here is the other biggest employer is actually of our graduates is the community sector, community-based sector, the NGO sector, civil society sector. So these non-state actors are also another destination for our graduates. Of course, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because many of the issues that this civil society organization is focused on, those are issues that are core to, CHUSS knowledge base. So public service is really not the biggest employer of our graduates. Of course, that is something to think about more, because I think we also should emphasize that government and our public services should be able to enjoy the skills that our graduates take to the world of employment or the world out there. The other disaggregation I want to share with you is, so those who are self-employed, because we said there's a distinction. There are those who are employed in formal employment, they have an employer, but there are these others who we called self-employed, who are employing themselves. So they are their own employer, or they are actually employing even other people. It was also a significant percentage, as we saw, but we wanted to find out, had they, before they became self-employed, had they been employed somewhere else? So of course, what we see is that they started by working somewhere, and then they realized that I think they would better use their skills elsewhere. So majority had worked somewhere, but then decided that with their skills, I think they can make better use of their range of skills by starting up something on their own. In terms of program of study, so I think that's why I said at the beginning there that the arrangement of the slides changed. Because this should have been at the beginning, but that is still fine. These are the programs that we included in the study. It was purely undergraduate programs in CHUSS. So we have BA Arts there. We have BA Social Sciences. The biggest number of our respondents, the ones that participated in this survey, the biggest percentage was from students of social sciences, but also another good percentage that was involved in this study were students from the School of Psychology. You can see there the Bachelor of Industrial and Organizational Psychology is the second highest poll. So the highest poll, the highest poll is in the social sciences, but also we have many undergraduates coming from programs in the School of Psychology and then the rest of the other programs. So we really surveyed across the board. The other thing that should not miss, your eye shouldn't miss, is that we also included the diploma. We have a diploma here in CHUSS, the diploma in performing arts. We also included graduates from these programs. So to what extent were some of these issues emphasized by their lecturers? So I wanted to share with you some of these tables, and there are many of them, but what I'm going to do is, in the interest of time, since most of this is quantitative information, and the tables are going to be disrupting our flow of conversation and the insights, I'm just going to highlight there, as you can see, that the tables like that one and other one ahead, really just indicating the responses across the different questions we asked these students in terms of the study conditions, the the provisions during their time here, in terms of how useful they found some of the elements in terms of what was provided and what they considered useful when they went out in the world, out there in the world of work. So they have given us responses, but on the whole, in terms of the usefulness of some of the elements of the study programs, for the job positions they are holding now, those who have jobs, and in terms of how the programs helped them to do what they are doing, and if they were to choose again, whether they would likely choose the programs they studied, what is coming out is that they were very much positive about the study experiences here, and some of the skill set, the competencies that were provided, which looked a bit soft as it were, but then they found that they were very useful in helping them to actually find what to do. So the usefulness of these programs was really in relation to what they are doing now. Is not so much about the content, as I mentioned, because sometimes the content is overemphasized, but it is some of the other skills that are picked along the way. Many times they are focusing on these transferable skills and competencies, which they got from attending the programs. When people come here, they are provided with a large menu, some of which is found in the lecture space, but some of it is outside the other programs and arrangements that are made in their time here, which give them skills of innovation. Sorry?
Left with 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm actually almost getting done. That's why I jumped to the tables. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that really putting all those the responses in the tables together in terms of whether they found these skills useful. Many of the transferable skills they got from attending different programs were really highly evaluated because they found that this gave them creative skills, innovative skills, skills of managing time, things that look elementary but make a difference, teamwork, adaptability, persistence, and interpersonal skills. The same with when we look at the tables indicating the responses on a number of questions on transition. How long did they take to find what they are doing now in terms of searching for a job after graduation, when they started looking for a job, what methods they used for the first job after graduation, and which employers they contacted for their first job after graduation, and important attributes that those employers consider, and so on. We actually find that there is a waiting window. There is some kind of average waiting window, but it's not very long. Although I know that once the graduates get to the end of their last semester, they become anxious because they think that immediately you get. But the general picture we get here is that between 1 year and 2 years is the waiting window, really, on average. But of course, different experiences come from what the individuals shared with us in terms of interviews where you are talking one-to-one. But still, the picture remains largely one that suggests that on average, students take at most 2 years to find what to do. Once it goes beyond 2 years, of course, then it means that they have to re-examine whether they should continue to just search for something to do, or they should change and maybe either undertake study or, in fact, start their own work to do. Chair, in the interest of time, as you mentioned, allow me to actually stop there and pass on the microphone to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Julius Chikoma. Following on the principal's introduction for the rationale for the study, you've taken us through the research methodology, the demographics of the study sample, and the key findings. I can say that we can now follow through. Let's now get on to Florence Muhanguzi to tell us the key findings from the Bachelor of Social Science students graduates. Welcome, Florence.
Thank you, Chair, and colleagues. You're welcome to our presentation. Thank you for being part of this. I'm just adding to what the PI has just enumerated relating to the findings from the tracer study, but more looking at the usefulness of the program of social sciences as far as the world of work is concerned. Talking to our alumni revealed to us about how social sciences as a program in CHUSS is very cherished, and how our alumni confirmed their appreciation to the skills that they were able to get out of the program. Social sciences as a program, as a discipline, is broad, was said to be broad, covering a range of aspects that relate to society, that relate to humanity, particularly issues relating to governance, leadership, public administration, issues of gender, culture, social work, and social research in general, which are areas that are very key in the world of work. Almost every organization, every institution, be it government, be it civil society, be it these international bodies, require skills or require human resource that do have skills in these areas. So this came out very clearly that our program in social sciences is a program that is widely needed in the world of work. It was clear that as social sciences as a discipline does not only provide the theoretical grounding relating to society, philosophy, and other things, but it also provides other soft skills, just as Professor Chikoma has said, soft skills in research, community engagement, critical thinking, and problem solving for the alumni to be able to maneuver through the world of work, to be able to see where they are going, to see what kind of contributions they are making in society. There was other skills that beyond class that they were able to talk to us that they had acquired and that they have found them to be very useful in the world of work. Not easily, highlighting them, but through talking to them, you would really see that that they have acquired these skills through by going through our program. Skills relating to confidence, time management, how the assignments and tasks we give them space to manage time, to know how to manage time, but also how to be independent in doing their assignments. Skills relating to public relations and teamwork. All those are skills that are needed in the world of work in the different institutions. And so we have to amplify the fact that our programs are actually contributing to the development of our nation. There were also other competencies that we managed to pick, like competencies relating to patience, working under pressure, competencies in computer knowledge, and given the fact that now we are in the .com era where almost everything is, done online on computer, in this digital divide, many were able to say, because of the tasks we give them which require you to have knowledge of computer, which require you to actually type and submit your work, have enabled them to acquire those skills. Social sciences as a discipline, one of the elements that many of our alumni talked about that have been helpful is the research. The research component, which many of our students take, and most of our graduates in their early career years, it looks like they are able to work. Most of the work that they do initially is research, and most of them are in the research area. So they appreciated the research course that they've gone through, and that has enabled them to do research, but also to know how to write their reports. Relating to the indicative pathways into the job market, just as we've heard from Professor Chikoma, all graduates all over, they are able to get jobs in all these institutions, in the public sector, in the mainstream civil service, local government, the Uganda Revenue Authority, and most of them also are able to do self-employment. Seeking for jobs is not easy though, but along the way, many, are able to get the jobs. One of the biggest challenges that they spoke about was the challenge relating to social networks and political. Yes, and political patronage, and how this has sort of become like an impediment to be able to get the job, and then also the challenge related to the numbers that go through social sciences. They are it is one of the biggest programs, and we have many graduates compared to the job market. And so it's not easy for them to be able to get the jobs that they would have desired to get. But otherwise, they appreciated having taken the courses, and they actually do not, sort of link the challenge of getting jobs to the programs that they took. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Florence, for managing time. Can we now hear from Professor Susan Kiguri? You are also allocated 10 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, the team, for such an enlightening presentation. Because we are allocated a few minutes, I'm just going to share really key highlights from the in-depth interviews that we carried out. I concentrated, like the chair said, on CLC, that is the School of Languages Literature and Communication, and I was working with research assistants Deos Kansime and Richard Tigume. From the findings, we were quite, it was quite interesting to note. I'm sorry, Chair, I'm trying to put off my phone. I had forgotten it on, and I don't want it to go off. I'm sorry about that. Sorry about this. Okay. So we saw that from the responses we got from the graduates, they appreciated what half of them called, and that's the ones are caught, but all of them were had similar thoughts, but half of them actually called it what they called it reassertion of youth presence. That this study made them reassured them that CHUSS was there, and they thought that it was such a good thing, because before people would talk derogatively about their college, and they didn't know that that the college would intervene in any way or would reach out to them in any way. So they appreciated that. And then in the interviews, we also we were surprised to note that some of the stereotypes that actually people have on CHUSS are not what the students that go through CHUSS, they didn't think the same way about CHUSS. In fact, we found that most students interviewed had a positive perception of CHUSS, just like the PI pointed out. We also found out that most graduates that were contacted both for the questionnaire and in-depth interviews had something to do, and that in the corpus of the ones for the in-depth interview, there was only one that was regarded herself as unemployed. Most of them said that they were not formally even when they were not formally employed, they were self-employed and they had something to do. And so I thought that what the PI has mentioned about us needing to review or deconstruct the notion of work as has been established by dominant structures is a very vital point. And most graduates thought we needed to address the matter of numbers and improve as well as provide a more accommodating infrastructures to help them in their studies. And they also thought that we needed to adapt and upgrade content to them in the context of the current wave of developments with information technology. And they also told us that there was a need to create awareness to students who are going through the courses in CHUSS, to create awareness about the library system and what was available in the library and how they could access what was available. They thought that that was not very well done when they were on the course. Then there was a strong appreciation of those classes that emphasized the practical approach. And this was across from journalism to Department of Literature to the departments in languages. Well, I actually will quote two respondents here. One respondent remarked, "I particularly enjoyed the more practical classes, such as advanced syntax, because they provided us with a chance to exercise critical thinking and also to work in groups, and as a result, explore what our peers thought of a subject. In communication skills, I enjoyed writing for the media the most. It pushed me to think and to creatively use my knowledge of what I was taught in class. And another respondent, because this one talked about literature and I'm from literature, charity begins at home. This respondent said, lecturers at the literature department were always creative in regard to the way they delivered their content during class time. Away from the usual lecture method, we were pushed to think outside the box with project-based assignments, dramatizations, and presentations. So the graduates appreciated the more practical sessions, and graduates from journalism also requested that they wished the course could be could provide more practical sessions, because they said the facilities were not enough, the classes were large, and so, for example, to get a session where each individual got a hands-on on, for example, handling a camera were scarce. So they were concerned about that, because they said that when they went the field, then they had to almost retool themselves to be able to cope with the working environment. And graduates generally from the school also emphasized their appreciation of the soft skills, as other presenters have already said, that they acquired in the school. They highlighted that the subjects in the school helped them to understand communities better in terms of people's identities, histories, and cultures. And they thought that the subjects interrogated matters of self, intercultural communication, and the ability to comprehend and share other worldviews. They also actually emphasized that the modules on writing, negotiation skills, conflict management, intercultural communication, and persuasion skills made them very, very useful in their places of work. Graduates said it was hard to find work, but that when they found work, employers appreciated what they brought to the table. In fact, one graduate remarked or talked about what he called the CHUSS hidden curriculum, which instilled in him self-discipline and self-responsibility. Respondents also noted the need for mentorship programs to enable them to prepare for the work environment. They thought that this was something that the college could invest in a little more, apart from the internship program. And they also pointed out the need, like Professor Chibita pointed out in her keynote address this morning, of research-oriented skills. I know the colleagues from social sciences, the graduates appreciated the fact that they were trained in research methods. The graduates from School of Languages, Literature, and Communication thought that this was not something that had been invested in enough, and they needed more of this. The respondents also noted something that was quite surprising to us as researchers. But maybe it shouldn't have been. They noted that they noted the high quality of lecturers and the vibrant research culture in the school. And they thought that that really motivated them to aspire and be more productive, and that when they went out in the field, they really appreciated what one of them called the cutthroat lecturers. One of the respondents said that the lecturers in CHUSS, he reported about it in January. He said the lecturers in CHUSS, some of them were really cutthroat lecturers who expected a lot from the student. But he also went on to say that he wished that he hadn't hated them so much while he was on the program, because now he would like to say thank you to them, because all the skills they were pushing him to achieve have been very useful. And this was someone in a management position. And the last thing that I noticed was—
2 minutes, Professor Susan.
Pardon?
Left with 2 minutes.
All right, I need 1 minute.
Thank you.
Yeah, the last thing that I noted, we noted in this, in the respondents' research answers, was that the college should be more active in encouraging alumni to be part of the activities in the college. Thank you very much, Chair. I hand over.
Thank you so much for those impressive findings. In the interest of time, can we hear from Professor Sylvia Nanyonga Tamusuza, please? 15 minutes, Sylvia.
Thank you so much, the chair and my fellow panelists, as well as the audience that is listening to us. My assignment is with the Bachelor of Arts in Music, Bachelor of Arts in Drama and Film, Bachelor of Arts in Development Studies, Bachelor of Arts in of Ethics and Human Rights, as well as Bachelor of Arts in Arts with students that are offering subjects in the liberal and performing arts school. Like my colleagues have said, what I'm sharing here is basically an ongoing research. And so I cannot claim that what I'm saying is by everybody that is in this institution, in the School of Liberal and Performing Arts. I'll base my presentation on 2 issues, and that is the evaluation of the study conditions and provisions at CHUSS, as well as the transition to the employment pathways from the university. I want first of all to mention that while we had only one graduate in the diploma, I want just to mention that usually our students, after they've gotten their diplomas, they would always graduate into joining the bachelor's program. So we had only one that we are able to get because he had not gone up to the bachelor's level. I would say, like my colleagues have said, that generally our students appreciated the content that they were offered, but they also went on to mention that beyond the content, they actually benefited a lot in the other, what we've called the transferable skills and the competencies that they gained in the course of their study. The most striking, I don't know why it is striking to me, but the most striking point is the fact that most of the students, most of the graduates, I'm sorry to talk about students, probably because I'm in the department right now. That's where I'm doing my presentation from. But most of the graduates looked at research as one of the most important course that they offered. And as much as the same time, it was the hardest, that dichotomy of very important and very hard. And I would like to just make a real quote from someone who said that, yes, when I was at campus, I thought it was the hardest, referring to research. But when you come outside of the campus, it is one of the most needed course units people should pick up because there is research in everything. You can't do something without doing research. But trust me, when you come to the outside world and you start facing life, very typical language, everything needs to be researched. Even when you are going to give birth, you need to research. Are you going to do a cesarean? If it's a cesarean, what is going to happen? You definitely need to go to the Google. But we were introduced to all the different types of skills of research at the university. In other words, the training we are offering our students is not just necessarily for getting employment, but really life skills that they can use in their own, in the life outside and after work. Most respondents were actually very satisfied with the mode of assessment, and they reported that they usually got feedback from their lecturers. And again, as Dr. Kiguri has said, they praised their lecturers so much. However, they had a complaint of delayed transcripts, and which some of them attributed their lack of being employed by now because of the delayed transcripts. The other issue that many of them highlighted was that the projects they did during the school time beyond other courses were very, very useful. And one respondent who is actually using her class project as her job right now mentioned that immediately after her graduation, there was nowhere to look up to apart from the program that the project that she did during the class work. She created herself a job, and this was from a business plan proposal project that she wrote for the Managing a Music Business course, which is a third-year course in BMAS, Bachelor of Arts in Music. Allow me to quote her directly. She said that when the lecturer told us to write a business plan, I had to reflect on my life. I had interest in music performance. In this case, we are told to choose a business which we are passionate about. I wrote a plan for Nyange Cultural Troupe, my current business. And when I graduated, I decided to turn this class project into reality. I must say the skills in that course laid a foundation for my current job. I want to mention that most of the self-employed graduates, most of the performing arts and film graduates are self-employed. They've created jobs as well as employing other people. For example, this lady who has a cultural troupe, she's employing approximately 40 people. I'm saying approximately because some are full-time, some are part-time, depending on the needs of the projects that she is executing. And I want to say that all the respondents agreed that the training they received had a great impact on the development of their personalities and characters. While the respondents shared about various skills, again, as my colleagues have also mentioned, innovation, creativity, time management, and adaptability, persistence, interpersonal skills, which are all, of course, necessary skills for employability. They attribute these as having been trained from the college, of course, from the school as well. Talking about their transition to the place of work, majority of the graduates that I interviewed were mainly in two categories. One was the private sector, and these were mostly people who were in the liberal arts, those in the development studies, as well as some in the BA programs, and those who are in ethics and human rights program. I noted that most of the graduates from the performing arts were actually self-employed, as I have mentioned. Self-employment, especially among respondents from performing arts, was mostly noted. Some of the jobs are directly related to the study program, as we've already mentioned, while others were actually as a result of transferable skills and competences from the performing arts training that they got from the program. And I want to allow me to quote.
Sophia, you're left with 3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay. Allow me to quote just one person who is dealing with ICT business, and but he did a Bachelor of Arts in Drama and Film. And his argument is that he learned a lot as an actor, and he knows that the world is a stage of performance. And so when he was trying to think of what to do, he had to think of what is happening in the world outside the drama field. And indeed, he chose to create his business and borrowed a lot of skills from drama. And he actually said, and let me quote, that there's a difference. The difference between me and most of my competitors is that I understand the problem of the consumer, and I'm able to write a script of what is needed in this in the business. Of course, this is a borrow from, he's borrowing from the training from the drama playwriting script skills. Finally, let me just give a few things that I noted, and there are only 3, and I believe in 3 minutes I should be able to do so. What the research has revealed that the career
1 minute, please. 1 minute left, not the
Okay.
rest one now. So
There are 3 points, not minutes. Okay, I'll use just, I'll mention only 1 point. That's fine. The research has also revealed that career development should begin at the time when students decide which programs they should offer, and that the subjects that they are offering, especially for those who are doing BA arts. The research indicated that some respondents, especially those who offered Bachelor of Arts in Arts and did some subjects within the school, had limited guidance on the kind of subject combinations they should take. And of course, one respondent confessed that when she even applied for jobs to be a cashier in the hospital. And finally, based on the respondents, and most graduates are employed, most of them have created their jobs, especially those in the performing arts. The liberal arts have been employed and in the private sector. Thank you so much, Chair.
thank you very much, Sylvia. Can we hear from Dr. Martin Baluku? Martin, you have 9 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, colleagues, for the wonderful presentations. Thank you, participants, for joining us. And I'm actually building on what my colleagues have already said. There is not a big departure from what has already been revealed. There seems to be a lot of relatedness in our findings, although we are from concentrating on different courses from different units, but it shows the unity and the relatedness of the humanities, and that we are training students more or less in a similar way. But what is important is that students seem to appreciate what we do. They seem to appreciate the knowledge that they have obtained, and how well they are faring in the work world. To start with, I was with Maria Ney Turukume as the research assistant, but also we are occasionally helped by Richard Tugume. So that was the team from psychology. In terms of how participants felt about the study, there were vibes of appreciation that the leadership of CHUSS actually can think of following them up to know how they are doing in the world of work. And they felt that that means we value them, that they are still important to the college. And some of them actually had the idea that they can be used in some of the activities of the college. They can be helpful in the planning processes of the schools and the college. So there was a lot of appreciation for the study. We particularly interviewed 5 graduates from the psychology programs. And what is interesting in this is that all of them were employed. It is actually somehow difficult to find one who is unemployed. Not that they don't exist, of course they are there, but even those who are unemployed at least have been employed at some time, as we saw in the quantitative findings, or at least are engaged in some kind of work that they may not necessarily consider as employment, but they are also not idle, as you would expect of an unemployed person. Speaking specifically about the psychology courses and the teaching, the lecturing, and the content of the programs, all our participants actually were very positive about the psychology programs in general, and they actually believed that humanities are not just courses of study. They are something that they empower, and they are required in every course around the university, because even when the scientists are scientists, they are human first. So they need the humanities before they actually become scientists. So they think that someone who has studied something from the humanities is different in the workplace. That, you know, the knowledge, even when you don't find a job, will still be useful in your daily life. When you find a job, it will not, even when you don't use it for the technical aspects of the job, it will still be useful in the way you behave in the workplace. And particularly what they were emphasizing was the value of the soft skills that the courses in CHUSS tend to provide. However, there was a general agreement among the participants that whereas the courses and the programs and the content that is taught in these courses is actually very important and up to date, the challenge for the graduates is one. It is difficult for them to easily find jobs because the courses are not known. The challenge is, whereas people know that psychology exists, they do not know the different domains of psychology. So when you apply for a job as a graduate, you have to spend a number of minutes on the interview panel to explain what your psychology is about and what you can do and what you cannot do. So they were saying they find that complicated in the process of transiting from school to work. Concerning the modes of teaching, again, the participants were appreciative of how the courses are taught and the contents. They feel that the content is up to date to what is required for their jobs, what they are currently doing, both those who are in government institutions, those who are self-employed, and those who are working in the
You're
private
left with
companies.
2 minutes. 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. Okay, let me try to be quick. In terms of method of delivery, there was special emphasis on the value that they gained from participative learning, and specifically from being able to present in class, doing research on their own and presenting that research. I would have read a citation from one of the participants, but because of time, I can leave that. But the thinking is, or the value they portrayed, that they are able to face anybody, they are able to present in any forum, they feel confident, they feel the self-worth because of the way they were handled when they were undergoing the training in CHUSS.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Martin.
Please.
Now let's hear from Professor Chiza Julius. Julius is going to take us through the place of humanities and social science graduates in the job market and what CHUSS needs to do. In simple terms, the way forward as regards the findings of this study and what next for CHUSS to take over. Thank you, Julius. Julius Chiza, can we hear from you, please? And you have 5 minutes. Oh, he's not online. Martin, I don't see Professor Julius Chiza among the panelists. Do you think you can sum up the way forward?
Okay, well, I don't know whether I can provide that overview. Of course, I would have preferred to pass the baton to the PI on that. However, I can provide some points that come from our interactions and our shared ideas as a team, and then the rest of the members can add to that. One, something that was coming out from some of the deliberations from our participants were that what is it that CHUSS can offer to the university. There is a feeling from some of the participants that there are important courses within CHUSS that can be taught to everybody in the university. Let's talk about communication skills. Let's talk about personal skills. Let's talk about gender issues. These are things that not only are experienced by people who have graduated from CHUSS when at work. Everybody at work needs skills related to these issues. And there is that feeling from our graduates that it should be general for all students at Makerere University. The other issue is that came up so profoundly is the feeling that our students are not as appreciated as those from the sciences, especially when it comes to the preferential treatments from certain circles in the community. And therefore, the question is, what is CHUSS doing about this? Of course, we have a lot of efforts. As you can see, even this conference is an effort in that direction, but is it reaching everyone that we target? Some of our participants were of the view that there should be deliberate efforts that include even the alumni to be able to educate the masses about the value of certain humanities. The other issue that came up that needs to probably have an action point is updating of the courses. updating of the programs. And some of the participants were saying because they have been in the world of work, they know what works, they don't know what works, and they feel that they should be consulted, they should be included in the planning of the programs. And then there was another issue about the courses that do not have direct feeder subjects from the lower levels of education. And specifically when we talk about psychology, there is nowhere from senior 6 below that you find a subject on psychology. And like, it becomes difficult for someone to choose a subject at university that he has not experienced before. They have not had career guidance about what they involve, and therefore there should be deliberate efforts to provide information to those who are about to join university to understand what the humanities are about, the career possibilities after graduation, and things like that. In brief, that's what I can say. And the members of the panel can add to that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Martin Baluku. Thank you very much, all of you panelists, from the principal up to the last person that has presented. Dear attendees, you'll agree with me that this was really a very insightful presentation. And from the comments I can see on the chat, everyone has appreciated the study. I know if we're given time, we could go on and on, but definitely we cannot. The study findings were really intriguing, and I would request the principals, since you are online, that you probably organize a college-based dissemination workshop for these findings, where staff, particularly the lecturers in the college, can receive this feedback from their graduates and pave way forward for their respective programs. Colleagues, we are now entering the question and answer session. We are left with just 4 minutes, and the questions we have are about 2 or 3. Question number 1 was raised by Pade Musana. The first part of the question has already been answered, but let me read out the last part. Were there any responses from especially the employers on aspects of employability? That is skills and competences. You've been talking about skills and competences from the perspective of the graduates. So were there any responses from the employers of these graduates? Then I have a simple question from the chair herself. Simple, just a methodological issue. Why is it that CHUSS was not included amongst the programs? And then my second question culminates from the point that the principal investigator raised at the beginning of his presentation, that they preferred a CHUSS study, on a tracer study commissioned by CHUSS itself. My question is that we all know that there are advantages and disadvantages from conducting tracer studies by the insiders themselves. One of the disadvantages are the biases, the social desirability, difficulty in shifting roles, the blinkered approach to data, getting what we want to hear. How did you control for these biases when conducting your tracer study? Thank you. We are left with the 2 minutes. Principal investigator, can you respond to our questions in probably?
Thank you, Chair. I don't know whether you can hear me. I've shifted places. So
I personally can hear you. I don't know.
As I would be.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Chair, thank you very much. And I like the questions in the chat. And also your own question as well. I did not get the methodology question properly, but I think you know, the good thing is that the point you made, I want to build on it first. The one you said that it would be important that we hold some kind of feedback sessions with the units where this data is even crucial, because we see from the information in this study is going to inform a number of elements. It's going to inform how we look at you know, how we are preparing our products from the feedback they are saying. Of course, you know, we have those positives, but we also have challenges. You had there Professor Silva mentioning that you know, they were not happy with us in terms of you know, the cycle time, in terms of when they finish and when they actually get the credentials. So there are those positives, but also they pointed out negatives. But it would be nice, and I would think that we should be able to engage with the units with a view of sharing with the units much more than here in this conference. As you will know, since these are parallel sessions, people who should have enjoyed some of what we are saying, or who should have really paid attention to some of what is coming here, may have also been attending other sessions. So a feedback session which can engage directly with a specific user unit will be a good thing. Now, in terms of Hade's question, I like it very much in the sense that when we thought about this study, we had so many ideas, but we also were mindful that we had a very small time, because the funds we were using were going to come from funds that were for a financial year. So we had limits in terms of the time available to us. So we decided that let's look at what we have done now, or what we've shared with you now, as phase one. But we will have another phase where we will now not be looking from inside out, but from outside in, where we engage the employers. We definitely need responses from the employers so that we can balance the views of those we have taught, who may have a bit of a more favorable evaluation, but we need the one of the employers as well. So that is going to come in our plan. That is going to be there, which will be combined with also listening out to, you know, the experiences of graduates. So I think this is a start. It is not by any measure the end of whatever we have done along this. And the other thing that I wanted to mention here is that clearly there are very important insights that are coming from this work, which I would really think that beyond just maybe doing some few publications, we should be thinking about a real book project, which talks to questions that this information is raising around the role of the value of humanities in this question of work, what it means to have employment, work, and the whole idea of rethinking what employment means. Because, you know, what we are seeing here is that everything we had seems to be different from what these people are actually experiencing. So a book project that spends more time now engaging much more conceptually with these issues would be a good way forward, so that you know, it becomes part of teaching material going forward. Chair, in the interest of time, I think that's what I can actually say for now.
Thank you very much, Professor Julius Chikoma. Thank you very much, the research team. We really appreciate our attendees. Thank you very much for being patient up to 3 minutes past time. And the message, take-home message I want you to have is that acquisition of soft skills is what makes the difference between CHUSS graduates and other graduates. Thank you so much, and bye-bye to everyone.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, Chair. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Yeah, thank you.
We
And
do appreciate.
thank you. Again, tune in tomorrow. Don't forget.
Remember.
See you.